So my name is Kent Heinrich. I met Chief Flett, let's say 4 years ago now. He came into the solar company I was working for, talked to the owner there and said, yeah, we want to do some solar at our school. And Chief Flett and I met. We shared the dream of that. So that summer we engaged some students from St. Teresa Point High School to conduct surveys and count light bulbs and just get the general feel for sustainable energy within the community. At the same time, coincidentally, there was a group of students at Asper Business College taking their MBAs, and they were working on a project in sustainability. So they mentored the high school students, and together they outlined a plan to do an energy study for the community where they gathered information around the light bulbs, that sort of thing. Together they put together a proposal, so the high school students learned on how to write proposals or studies, and the Asper students had real life statistics and a real life community to work on for their final project as part of their education process. So that was, we can call that 4 years ago. A year later, a GICB program came out, which was a phenomenal program from NRCan. They offered to any First Nation community 100% funding for solar on schools, rec centers, senior centers, hospitals, anything essentially that wasn't a band office. We were ready to put the application in. Raymond and I went to work on it right away. We were probably one of the first applications in, and as Raymond said, we were the first one accepted. Then about a year passed and NRCan finally got the money. The solar system was put on, and is that PowerPoint up there, Ming? There we are. So that's live from Google Satellite. So it's 385 kilowatt system. It's designed to produce, just let me get to my, I'll explain the production of it later, but it's on all the schools, and it provides about 15% of the power when they're working the panels. So that was how Chief Flett and I met. I am no longer with that solar company, but Raymond and I kept in touch. And the next thing we started looking at was this here. This was a EV school bus introduction that I did in June of 2022. Now that was a proposal we put together for AMC, and the concept there was that we were going to take gasoline-powered, diesel-powered school buses and convert them to EV. So we had the whole business plan together on that, suppliers for the batteries and the tech all in place, and it just sort of hit a brick wall. But the work's gone on in that area, and it still will. The work we have in progress here is still good. It's just wasn't the time quite at the moment. So along that line, I'm always watching programs. This one came up, and this was called Funding for Indigenous-Led Awareness and Education Projects for Cleaner Transportation and Clean Fuels. There we go. So Raymond and I started a company and put in an application for it. We were successful, and the summary and objectives of the program are basically, the objective of the project is to increase awareness and understanding among Manitoba, Northwestern Ontario First Nation, elders, chief councils, community members, educators, and all Indigenous people about the opportunities presented by electric vehicles and electric vehicle charging infrastructure. Under the project, we had 4 key points we were going to do. We were going to develop an outreach and engagement education program focused on electric vehicle awareness. That's basically what brought you here today. School curriculum will be developed and delivered, along with in-person knowledge sharing sessions and a one-day conference to feature EV and charging infrastructure, which is where we are today. Oops, there. That's the slide I just read to you. And I'd like to thank Chris and Angel. They're our counterparts with Government of Canada that are assisting us as we proceed with the project. So in my presentation today, I've broken it down into kind of 3 or 4 components. First one, this is just a look at vehicles that beyond cars, in the vans and the heavy trucks that are available to people. This is from a friend of mine, Tony, over at 7 Generation, which is a EV implementation company. They provide leasing opportunities, financing, and through his slide deck, he shared a slide deck with me. These are all the vehicles they claim to have access to. So these are, you know, the F-350s, that sort of size vehicle. Then it moves up to, these are mostly foreign ones. I've never really seen these everywhere around, but they're in the slide deck. Then more in the 350, class 4s. These, again, more foreign ones. Some weird looking ones here, that Cerit. It's a 100-kilometer range. It's got a 4.6 kilowatt battery. Looks like something would be popular in India. This slide here, SEA up at the top there. They work with Hino, and they're also partners with Mack now, doing the power systems for them. I'm a fan of this company. They're from Australia. Here we are with larger trucks getting into the class 6, 5s and 6. So we've got Lion featured there, Isuzu, which is also powered by SEA. Into your class 6 and 7, Kenworth, Freightliner, Motive. Motive is a new EV company. They also do a F-350 conversion. Here's Lion's big boy. They've got the class 5 there, Mack, Peterbilt, Volvo, Kenworth, BYD from China, Freightliner. All the manufacturers are getting into the EV sector. And then there's the spacey ones, the Nikola and the Tesla. All of these have their place. EVs right now are comparable to the Model Ts. There's going to be growing pains, there's going to be learning curves, there's going to be proper applications, and there's going to be improper applications. Sorting out the proper applications will make for an easier transition. These are the school bus companies that are manufacturing. We've got Lion, Microbird, Bluebird, Thomas. Our friend up in Alaska is running the Thomas. Green Power, BDY again, and down in the bottom corner there, MCI, our local Winnipeg company that does their testing at Red River College. These are shunts. Gardewine, I know they've got electric shunt that they use around the yard. Ideal, again, another ideal application. You want to look for the lowest hanging fruit, where it can use an EV effectively that is replacing a diesel unit. These things only run around the yard. They're right by the charger all the time, so they certainly are good. You know, they see 10 to 19 hour, 6 to 22, 6 to 12 hour battery ranges in those. So those are just a bit of a look at some of the other EV stuff that's out there. Now there are EV motorcycles. There's EV outboard motors. You've seen the video today on the Polaris ATVs. So there is EVs in pretty much every realm. There's Air Harbor charter airplane that flies out of Vancouver. And they've got an electric airplane, if you can believe it, that flies between Vancouver and Vancouver Island. It's the first of its kind, and it's sort of a prototype pilot project type. So that's the EV vehicle section. This is taken from our webpage. That was another one of the 4 deliverables that we were doing for our project, was to put up a webpage. So as soon as we put in the application, I reserved www.fnev.ca, so firstnationsev.ca. Go to it, it's easy to remember, and it's a work in progress. It's always changing, always evolving. One part of it there is the what funding streams are available. First one I'm going to focus on here is the medium and heavy duty vehicle or zero emission vehicles. This provides discounts for all those trucks I just shown. So the class 3, which we're looking at right here. No, pardon me, that's still class 2. The class 3s are the F-350s. There's a $45,000 discount Class 4, 75. Class 5s, 75. Class 6, Class 7. So these are, you know, up to 26,000 kilograms. Single axle vans, trucks. This would be the Lion 6. $100,000 rebate. Class 5 is 75. I approached a garment company here in town that runs delivery vans all over. When you look at the cost of a off-the-shelf Ford F-350, runs in about, and I'm making these numbers up, but it's about 90 grand. When you look at mode of conversion of an F-350, what they do, they pull out all the internal, like the gas engine part. You can't buy a glider from Ford. So they take the gas motor out and all the hardware that goes with it. They sell it to someone who wants it. They put in electric components and they sell those for, I think wholesale arms around 160. So you take that $75,000 rebate off there and you're pretty close to dollars for dollars. But the only difference is you're no longer paying for oil changes. You're no longer paying for gasoline every week and all the moving parts that are with it, the benefits of EV that we've talked about that people will come to realize. Class 8 trucks, $200,000 rebate, and that's again through the medium heavy duty zero emission vehicle fund. There is one of these funds for cars like this or cars like that, trucks like that if they get cheap enough, where you get a $5,000 cash rebate. I'm hoping that Manitoba comes up with their own kit too. I actually think they should just give free hydro to anybody with an electric vehicle. Zero emission vehicle infrastructure program funding. Now this one was for Indigenous organization to do buses for their communities. Unfortunately, this application closed February 28th. And this is one point I want to point out to two communities. You've got to act fast on these programs. I know it's against the nature. We like to take our time and think and make sure everything's gone through. But so many opportunities are missed because the funding streams just close and they're gone. I'll touch point on that in a little bit here, but this one happened to pass away. This one here was a really good one. This was a Rural Transit Solutions Fund. This one, St. Teresa Point's in. They're applying for those two. The beauty of this one, though, it was 100% funding, vehicles plus charging stations. All the other charging station programs provide you 75% funding, so you're still putting cash out from the community. With this one at 100%, it also includes training for drivers, training for mechanics, garages, complete funding. Now, there is a revenue stream for this one yet, and this is the one I'm going to be really reaching out to communities about. This is called the Planning and Design Project Stream. So this is prepping for the next time they fund the capital purchase. What's done at this is we'll look at your community, we'll look at the routes, we'll look at what you have for power, we'll know what it's going to cost to put in charging stations, we'll know where the needs are, and we'll be able to do community engagement and be set for the next application. At the same time, we can also be looking at school bus applications and getting ready for those as well. So this is still, and is 100% funding. It's $50,000 to any community that wants to do it, which would certainly pay for one community member to get a full-time job for a year to put this study together. It would also pay for a fellow like Randy or somebody who's an electrician to come out and to do an assessment study for the community. So that one, if you're on my mailing list, you'll be hearing about it. This is just the application guide. So I basically got applications ready. We just need BCRs and they can be done. Okay, I'll just skip by that one. This was the Indigenous Clean Energy. This was Jessica who just did her presentation, so that one's available. They're easy to find. Just Google ICE First Nations and they'll come up. Okay, so this is the fun part. While we were putting together the application for the St. Teresa Point, I think it was in August or September, the power went out in St. Teresa Point. It wasn't out for 5 minutes, it wasn't out for 5 hours, it was out for 5 days. They have power outages there more than once a month, for sure. There's people there that use CPAP machines. There's people there that use dialysis machines. If they don't have a battery backup in their house, they're in real dire conditions. We had done, this is a illustration of the vision. I'm going to walk through it point by point. But it started out here with phase one, which is now completed. And we didn't know it was, we kind of knew it was phase one at the beginning, but we didn't know how it was going to evolve. So this is a 385 kilowatt solar panel system, generates 418,000 kilowatt hours per year. Solar is provided to power the school. And ultimately, as we move forward in this project, it's going to also power a 500 kilowatt battery energy storage system. Now that battery will provide for 96 hours critical needs in emergency for power outage, such as cooking, lights, heat, communications, dialysis machines, etc. When this solar is powering this 500 kilowatt battery storage system, the power from it, as you see in the chart there, will go from the solar up to the bank, to the charge system. That will go to a bus, go to a truck, right down to the van and the truck. So in the daytime, the power will fill that up and it'll get used from that. So it's actually solar going right to the vehicle. Oopsie. Now, what Chris mentioned earlier was the vehicle to grid capacity. So with those ABA charge, or these here, ABA level 3 fast charger, 250 amps, they require phase 3. Schools have phase 3, and the beauty about a school is that school uses so much power, the bulk of their power is purchased at 4 cents per kilowatt hour. Once you're over 18,500 kilowatts of electricity, the power gets really less expensive. So here we are. We've got the Lion Class C bus there. No diesel needed. So for a community like St. Teresa Point or any Northern First Nation, the savings are magnified because you're not paying $5 per liter for fuel, or if they have to fly it in, you're paying $7 per liter for fuel. One thing in Kenora there, it's costing them $300 a week to run their diesel fuel bus, the diesel-powered school bus, pardon me. So we'll be running these off the electricity from the solar or from the grid at 4 cents. The other part of the puzzle is the Lion 6 medium-duty service truck. Within the community, any community, even Winnipeg, the trucks that they're using to go repair roads, to haul water, to pick garbage, all that, they are not traveling hundreds of kilometers. They're working in their local communities, and be it any First Nation South or any First Nation North, they've got the range to cover what they've got to do. These come in probably, I think he said they had like 200 kilometers range. If you put all the roads together in St. Teresa Point together, it comes to less than 20. And that's from one end of the community to the other. Same with any First Nation down in the south as well. So the 210 kilowatt hour battery in that bus will provide another 40 hours of critical load. The 275 kilowatt hour battery in the Lion 6, the 6-ton truck, will provide 53 more hours of if the power's out load. There's the chargers there. Now these chargers are naturally bidirectional into the vehicle and from the vehicle to the grid. When I first heard about vehicle to grid, I didn't quite get it. You don't take all the power out of the truck. You maybe take 10, 15, 20%. You can set the limit in the truck that it'll only go to a certain point, so you still have enough power to drive around if you have to. Now, those were the heavy vehicles, the big load vehicles. The next part of the project, and these are the ones we've applied for now, is the F-350 E-Transit community transit vehicle, and we applied for an F-150 E-Lightning. The charger that comes with them is a level 2 fast charger, 80 amp charger. This charger also provides bi-directional charging. Now, the picture there on the right, that's the band office. So the band office doesn't have level 3, but it certainly has a dryer plug. It certainly has like a stove plug, the type of plug you need to run that kind of charger. You know, you're looking, I think, let's say it's a 100 amp plug going in. I'm not sure, Randy could tell us. But that bi-directional can go into it. If we go back a couple other slides here, the top picture is a school with the solar. Okay, it can have one of those chargers. The bottom picture is a nursing station, and it can have one of those chargers as well. And that's something that Chris pointed out earlier. This is how you can use the bi-directional. So that's the whole scheme of things. It is, when I did the math, quick math, and really cutting corners on cost, what you're looking at in that picture, not counting the solar cost $1.5 million. But the rest you could probably do for the same money, using all the rebates. If we get the bottom two funded 100% and the chargers from Ford, they're funded 100%. When we put in the application, I think the application of that came to about $450, if I'm not mistaken. The other two trucks, if we get them funded at 75%. So taking advantage of the funding that's available and, you know, being out there, putting applications in, will make this a reality. Now, I would love to see a pilot project in St. Teresa Point, but I'd even love more to see one at every community as a way of decentralizing the grid, not relying so much on Manitoba Hydro. Okay. The hydro here in Manitoba is really related to the amount of water they have. I'm a sailor. I meant to put the pictures in the PowerPoint here, but I didn't have the chance. But not last year, but the year before last, the water levels were really high. We've got a platform where they haul the sailboats out on this big crane and they lower it down. So it runs out on two concrete sort of runners, and then over here is the government dock where all the commercial fishers are. 2 years ago, the water at those where they load the boat was this far, 4 or 5 inches from the top. The commercial fishers, their boats were just about level with the big pier walkway. When the wind come from the north, the waves would blow over top the walkway and flood out those boats. So we took the boat out in the fall of 2 years ago, so 2022. We came back in the spring to put the boat in. Where they put the boat in, it was 5 feet down from that top of that concrete to where the water was at now. The walkway for the commercial fishers over here, when the water was high, it was just about, maybe 10 degrees. That walkway is down to about 45. We carry our supplies in and out of the boat. The year that the water was high, you could easily run the ramp up and down with your wheelbarrow full of supplies. Last year, you were fighting to hold it back because the water was so low, the ramp was that much steeper. So as the water in Lake Winnipeg goes down, the capacity for them to generate power freely and easily without worry goes away. And we've had drought years before. With this climate change that we're having, we are going to have more challenges like that. So incorporating this sort of system will alleviate those problems and provide not only less dependency, but also some electrical independence. And that's the reason people go solar, is just to get a little piece of their own control of their future. Solar was good, and now the battery prices are coming down. The mix of solar and battery becomes more feasible. That 500 kilowatt battery unit you're looking at there, cost per kilowatt hour about 5 years ago was 500. 3 years ago, maybe 250. Now we're just about pushing $100 per kilowatt hour storage. Don't quote me, but the numbers are coming down like this. I think you can buy that 500 kilowatt for under 300 cost now. Okay, so what's causing all the, I wasn't meant to show you. Can you all take for a second and imagine 30 million tons. Okay, just picture 30 million tons of water. That's 40% more water than Canada uses in a year. Agriculture, drinking, whatever we use water in Canada for, 40% more than that is 30 million tons. Now that number represents how much ice is melting in Greenland every hour. Okay, so every hour, 30 million tons. If you made an ice cube of that, it's 1.27 kilometers this way, 1.27 this way, and 1.27 deep every hour. Now that water is cold, and it's fresh, and it's flowing in this little thing called the North Atlantic. And if anyone's ever had a bath, you know when your water gets cold in the tub, you turn the hot water tap on, that water mixes. Fresh water and salt water don't mix well, and it's going to mess up the ocean. It's been doing this since (1985). They've lost over 1 trillion tons of ice in Greenland since 1985. Climate change isn't a new thing. It's becoming more aware to us right now, but it's been happening for a long time, and we're getting to the critical points of time. We're getting to the points that if we don't absolutely change the way the stuff happens in this world, it is going to change, and it's going to be a mess. You know, you see on the news, Fort McMurray burns down, and they're still drilling for oil there. They're still stopping solar production there. They're still brainwashing people in that we need to have gasoline. This is another quote on the fire situation there. More than 38,000 people were evacuated. Forest fire season started March 1st officially. You know what? It never ended. Those fires are still burning. They burnt all winter. We have to act. Now, it isn't, you know, we're seeing the changes. All of us in here are, you know, we're older than 14. You know, these charts and graphs and all that, it gets tiresome. It's just overload. There's too much. And we're not at the point of studying anymore. It's time to act. 1.5 is where we set the limit that we get to. Last year was the first year that we had 1.5. 5 years from now, 7 years from now, we're going to be looking at the average of 1.5. We're seeing it in the north. We're seeing the ice roads not being able to go in. I've got friends up in Nunavut that their schools are sinking. They are doing studies on how to inject cold water in, or cold whatever, into the permafrost underneath the piles to keep the buildings from sinking. Not only Greenland's melting, the ice everywhere is, and it is going to change the life of the people. Now, I have a challenge with the 7 generations. It's an indigenous culture that we're looking out for the 7 generations. And I've spoken to elders about this. Raymond's older brother is Jack, right? I talked to Jack. I said, Jack, how do I talk to people without causing shame, without shaming people and saying, hey, you got to do this for the kids up ahead, for their kids who come later on. I have, between my wife and I, we've got 7 kids right now. We've got 8.95 grandchildren. Like one could be here any minute. But I knew what life was like when I grew up, and it's already really different, and I am immensely scared for what's going to happen for them. When people talk about studies and that sort of thing, I get really passive about it, or is that the right word? I get unpassive. It's like, if you got to study now, you're a denier in my mind. The time for studying is over. The time to act is now. There are people that have studied, and they know that if people engage the opportunity, we could transition to electric vehicles by 2030. The path to it is there. Is Rob here yet anymore? Or Yeah. You wrote out a plan like 5 years ago on how to do electrical infrastructure here in the province. Study it. Woo. No more studying. It's time to put in applications, get the funding, and put the projects in. If the charger has to go in before the vehicles are ready, so be it. We can't even calculate on the financial, like saying, oh, is it cheaper to have diesel than electric? It don't matter, because 20 years from now, there ain't going to be the choice. It isn't going to matter, because there will be drought, there will be change. I don't want to be a doomsayer, but if you don't believe it, your head's stuck somewhere, probably in the sand. But it's happening, and it's happening right in front of us. And here's the dilemma, my predicament with the 7 generations. How can we consciously say we care about 7 generations? We don't even get a heck about next one or next 2 away from us. It's happening right now, and it's happening within the next 5, 10, 15 years. 2050 is a stupid number to plan for. We should be planning for 2026, 7, 8 right now. I'm a bit of a hypocrite. I don't have an electric vehicle. I'm going to get one when I can, swing it. They are going to get more affordable for the working man. I do have a company now, so maybe the company can get it through for me, but I've driven them. I know they're better. I drove a Model S about 5 years ago. You're all thankful that I don't have one, because I am a very aggressive driver. And when you can change lanes from here to the end of that pylon and accelerate 40 kilometers an hour in that time, you don't want me driving one. My old boss, he used to have his company logos on his Tesla. Last time I seen him, he had it all plain. I said, hey, you changed your colors? He said, yeah, I drive like too much of a... So they're fun, they're good, they're better, but I'm diverging from the point here that we've got to act, and I'm trying to motivate people on that, and do what you can. Make every action count. That's my rant. How are we doing for time? We're 4:10 or 4:20. Going to take about 5 minutes. We'll do the draw for the... Do we got that video up? Ready to go? Okay, so yeah, we'll end it on a bit of a comedy note with me and Chris and a tour of a Lion school bus running in Kenora, and that'll give me time to get the draw set up, and then have some more coffee and dainties after that. But go ahead, Ming. Thank you.